Hello, BIOL1009. Welcome to week 3. We're moving right along in our first unit, understanding the chemistry of life. And this week we're going to be focusing on the how we produce energy through respiration. So we'll be looking at the underlying sort of principles of how energy moves through systems. We'll be looking at how the chemistry of respiration itself, the enzymes that are involved, the major steps that are involved, and then kind of linking that all together. For the most part, we're going to be focusing on how our bodies and how most organisms break down the glucose molecule. So the glucose molecule is a simple sugar, and it is the basis for much of the energy your body produces. But then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about how our bodies break down more complex molecules or food sources like proteins and fats that you also consume. But our discussion of the glucose, respiration of glucose is also related to the lab work we're doing. So this week we're going to be looking at how how complex sugars are broken down into glucose so that they can be metabolized by a seed. And then in the subsequent lab that we're going to do, we're going to look at how we personally break down complex sugars in our mouths when we are masticating, when we're chewing, using our saliva. So our saliva breaks down these complex sugars into glucose that then our bodies can use during respiration and metabolism. So what you want to focus on is sort of understanding the basic laws of thermodynamics, the 2 laws of thermodynamics that govern energy and how that moves through a system. You'll want to understand what ATP is and why it's such a crucial molecule in the generation of energy during respiration. You'll also want to understand sort of the basic chemical reaction that's involved in respiration. What are we starting with and what are the outputs? You'll also understand the 4 major metabolic pathways associated with respiration, and they include glycolysis, the breakdown of pyruvates, the citric acid cycle, and the oxidative phosphorylation. So understanding how those fit together and what they produce along the way is going to be key to understanding respiration itself. And then, just to make sure we're covering all our bases, that's pretty much it for this week. So look at the study guide. Make sure you can answer all the learning objectives listed on the study guide while you're doing your reading. The reading is all Chapter 6, and then use the Learn Smart to kind of help guide your studying of that chapter. Of course, if you have any questions about the content, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help. For this week's lecture assignments, it's a pretty standard week. You have, like I said, the you have your Chapter 3 reading, which is Chapter 6. You have your associated Learn Smart activity. You have the Week 3, Module 3 homework assignment that you're going to complete with your team. So make sure that you are communicating with your team at this point. It's now the time to get engaged with your team. It's a big part of your grade, and if you don't participate in these team assignments, you're going to fall behind. So the first couple weeks we went pretty easy, but this is the time to really get engaged in that process. Okay, and then finally you have your individual quiz you need to complete for this week's assignments, and then at the end of the week, of course, we always ask you to do what did you learn, sort of self-assessment. So make sure you fill out that form and kind of give us some feedback about what you understand and what you still need help with, so we can give you some guidance about how to study that material. That's it. Have a good week, and go eat something tasty.